When I was 12 years old, my stepfather lost control during an argument at dinner. He told me that I wasn't his real son anyway, so why would he care what happened to me? My mother sat there in silence. It wasn't the first time he'd said something like that. For years, he had been dropping small comments that I didn't really belong in the family, that I was just baggage he inherited when he married my mother. He said I ate too much, wasted money, and that real parents didn't have to deal with other people's mistakes. Before we go any further, I'd love to know, where in the world are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. I love seeing how far this little story can travel. Let's make this space feel a little more connected, no matter how many miles are between us. It started small, joking that I didn't look like him at all, not like his biological daughter from his first marriage. He'd forget to buy things for me when doing the family grocery shopping. When other family members asked about me, he presented me as Sarah's son instead of using my name. Seeing my mother never defend me every time he said something was the worst of all. She had once been a mother who proudly showed off my good grades. But with him, she acted as though I were a burden. Last month, his daughter came to visit and he bought her an expensive bicycle she had wanted all year. When I asked why he bought it for her and didn't get me one, he replied, "She's my daughter, be glad you have anything and stop being ungrateful." My mother was right there and didn't say a word. 2 weeks later, I accidentally broke a glass while washing the dishes. He exploded, yelling that I was careless with other people's things because nothing in that house belonged to me. Then came parent-teacher conferences. My teacher said I had difficulty concentrating and seemed withdrawn. Instead of asking what was wrong, my stepfather said maybe I had behavioral problems. And that I should be shipped off to a special school for kids like me. A few days before I ran away, I came home excited because I had made the honor roll again. My stepfather scarcely glanced at my report card and sneered, "How did you cheat?" Then threw it away, muttering under his breath, showing off. On the night I left, they had been drinking and checking the grocery account statements. The TV was on in the other room, but no one was watching. He sat at the kitchen table with his laptop open, a spreadsheet glowing coldly in front of him. "There," he said, turning the screen toward her. "You see that? Every dollar. School supplies. Clothes. Doctor visits. Gas for school drop-offs. Groceries. That's what I pay, for someone else's son." He repeated it like a chant. Like it made him feel stronger. "That's what I pay. For someone else's son." I tried to speak up. "I help around the house. I do chores." That's when he snapped. "You think washing a few dishes makes you my kid?" he roared. His hand shot out and grabbed the calculator sitting next to the laptop. He hurled it across the kitchen. It hit the wall, split open, and shattered into pieces on the tile. "You're not my responsibility," he said through clenched teeth. "And nothing you do will ever change that." I looked at my mother, hoping she would finally defend me. Instead, she looked at her hands and whispered, "Maybe you should go to your room." That night, after they had passed out, her on the couch with a glass still in her hand, him somewhere grumbling in his sleep, I crept back into the kitchen. The laptop was still open on the table, the glow of the spreadsheet lighting up the dark. I didn't even know what I was looking for. Maybe a way to cut back on my costs, to be less of a burden. Maybe if I could make the numbers look better, they'd stop hating me so much. But as I clicked through the folders, I found a file named Custody. I opened it. My heart started pounding. Turns out, my real dad had fought hard, really hard, to keep me. Court documents, lawyer emails, financial statements. He had paid child support this whole time. I opened my stepdad's spreadsheet and compared the numbers. What he claimed I cost, versus what my real dad had paid. They were making money off me. That's when I knew I wasn't staying. I went looking for my birth certificate in the filing cabinet, knowing I would need it to leave. But I found something else instead, a folder full of letters. All of them from my dad. All of them unopened. The top one was torn at the corner. I pulled it out. The paper was creased and soft, like it had been folded a long time. I hope you're doing okay. I miss you every day. I wish I could talk to you, but your mom says you don't want anything to do with me. That you hate me. If that's true, I'll respect it. But if it's not, just know, I never stopped trying. My hands were shaking. My mom told him I hated him. She lied. He thought I didn't want him. But I did. I do. I packed my school backpack with clothes and the $87 that I had managed to save. And a family photo of my biological father holding me as a baby. I knew I was leaving. But now, I finally knew where I was going. My dad's sister, my aunt, lived just one town over. I climbed out of my bedroom window at 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't know if she'd take me in. But I had to try. The early morning was chilly. I was cold. My breath came out in little white clouds. But I felt free. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't walking on eggshells, I was walking toward something. It was nearly 5 a.m. when a car slowed beside me. The window rolled down, and I froze for a second. It was Jason's dad. I knew him from school, he'd coached our soccer team once when we were younger. He squinted at me. "What are you doing out this early, kid?" I hesitated, then said the truth. "I need to get to my aunt's place." He looked at me for a long moment, then nodded like he understood something without me having to say it. "Get in," he said gently. "I'll drive you." The heater blasted warm air as we rode in silence. I clutched my backpack and stared out the window. When we pulled up in front of her house, he got out first. "I'll go talk to her," he said. He knocked on the door. I saw her open it, wearing an old sweater and a sleepy face. But when he spoke, her eyes snapped wide awake. She glanced past him and saw me in the car. Then she nodded. He waved me in, gave me a smile, and said, "I gotta run, late for work. Take care of yourself, all right?" And then he was gone. My aunt pulled me into a hug so tight I thought I might burst. For a second, I didn't know if I should cry or just breathe. Then she pulled back, her eyes glistening. She wiped away the tears like they didn't even matter and smiled. "You must be starving," she said. "Do you still like pancakes?" In the kitchen, she got right to work, making pancakes from scratch like it was the most natural thing in the world. The smell of butter and vanilla filled the room, and for a second, I forgot I hadn't slept all night. As she stirred the batter, she kept talking, glancing over her shoulder at me with a smile that never seemed to fade. "We've missed you so much," she said. "What grade are you in now? Do you still play soccer?" I nodded, and tried to answer along, and she continued, "Apple juice or orange juice?" "Ooh, maybe some chocolate milk," she asked, wiggling her eyebrows. "I know you used to love that stuff." It was a lot, almost overwhelming, but in the best way. It felt like someone had opened a window after being stuck in a dark room for years. She kept chatting as she flipped pancakes on the skillet. Then her voice softened. "Your dad is going to be so happy to see you." She paused for a moment, maybe choosing her next words carefully. "He's remarried now. Her name's Sarah. She's really sweet, not like Brad, your stepdad. You'll love her. And she'll love you." She turned to me and smiled, eyes shining. "I mean, who wouldn't love that face?" she said, gently tapping my chin as she slid a stack of pancakes in front of me, golden, warm, and absolutely drowning in syrup. My stomach growled, and we both laughed. After I finished eating, I sat there for a minute, unsure what to do next. I looked up, my voice barely above a whisper. "Can I take a shower?" She looked over, warm and soft-eyed. Of course, sweetheart. You must be exhausted. She led me down the hall to a small guest room with light blue walls and a bed made up with crisp, clean sheets. It smelled faintly like lavender and old books. She opened the dresser drawer and began pulling out clothes, some too small, some just right. I kept buying things, she said, almost to herself. Just in case. Birthdays, holidays, or for no reason at all. I kept hoping your mom would let me give them to you. Her smile faded for a second. But everything I mailed always came back. Return to sender. She held up a pair of soft-looking pajamas, still folded neat. There, she said, handing them to me. These should fit. I nodded, hugging them to my chest like they might vanish if I didn't hold them tight. Once I stepped into the shower and the warm water hit my skin, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I cried. I cried for all the time I'd lost, birthdays, soccer games, quiet nights that should have felt safe. I cried for all the guilt Brad had made me feel, for all the times I thought I wasn't enough, or too much, or just wrong. And then I cried because I was happy. I wasn't lost anymore. I was found. I was with people who loved me, really loved me. People who didn't measure my worth in money or chores or silence. I didn't ever want to leave. When I finally stepped out, my eyes were swollen, but my chest felt lighter. I put on the pajamas my aunt gave me, climbed into the soft guest bed, and pulled the blanket up to my chin. I fell asleep almost instantly. And I rested, really rested, for the first time in years. When I woke up, the room was quiet, peaceful. The kind of peace I hadn't felt in years. I sat up slowly, blinking in the morning light. For a second, I thought it had all been a dream. The sunlight coming through the curtains was soft, warm. Too peaceful to be real. I blinked and looked around. Not my tiny bedroom at Mom's. Not the peeling posters, the cracked window. Not the old mattress on the floor or the cracked blinds. This room smelled like clean laundry and vanilla. This was real. This was a real bed, with real blankets, and I was still here. I got up and went to the dresser. I opened the drawers and started going through the clothes my aunt had bought. All of them still had the tags. I found a shirt and jeans that fit and got dressed. As I walked down the hallway, I heard voices, soft, low, emotional. Then I stepped into the living room and saw him. My dad. And next to him was a woman with kind eyes and tears streaking her cheeks. Before I could even speak, she rushed forward and wrapped her arms around me. "I'm so sorry it took this long to meet you," she said, holding me like she'd known me forever. I stood frozen, unsure what to do. But then my dad stepped in. Okay, he said, half laughing through his own tears. "Give me my boy." He gently pulled me away from her and hugged me so tightly I could hardly breathe. "I'm sorry," he whispered into my hair. "I love you. I love you so much. I never stopped loving you." His voice cracked. My heart cracked with it. I closed my eyes and leaned into him. For a minute, maybe 3, we just held on, like neither of us wanted to let go. Then my aunt cleared her throat softly. "Okay," she said, her voice warm but serious. "We need to talk." She gestured to the couch. "Come sit down, sweetheart." We all sat down in the living room, and for a few moments, no one spoke. Then my aunt sighed and looked at me gently. "Sweetheart, your mom went to the police." I blinked. "What?" "She told them you were kidnapped, not that you ran away," my dad said, his jaw tight. "They've issued a report." "But listen," my aunt said quickly, leaning forward, "you're not staying. We're going to do this the right way. With lawyers. With everything. You're not alone anymore." Just then, the TV caught my aunt's attention. The news was on in the background, volume low. She reached for the remote and turned it up. And there they were. My mom was standing outside our house, tears streaking her face, arms folded like she was freezing, but she looked straight into the camera with perfect, practiced heartbreak. "If anyone sees him," she sobbed, her voice breaking, "please, please help bring my son home. I'm so worried. I just want him back safe." Behind her stood Brad. Drunk. His shirt was wrinkled, one sleeve half rolled, and he swayed as he stepped forward. "We love him," he slurred, eyes glassy. "He's our boy. I mean, I raised him. This whole thing's it's not right." I stared at the screen in disbelief. Brad had never called me his boy. Not once. Now he wanted the world to believe I mattered to him? I felt the heat in my face rise, not from shame this time, but from something stronger. Truth. "They're not trying to get me back because they care," I said quietly. "They're doing this because they want Dad's child support payments." My dad nodded slowly, eyes still locked on the screen. "You're right." My aunt turned off the TV. She stood up and started to walk to the room. "My room. Take the clothes I got you," she said. "You'll need them." I shook my head. "No. Brad'll just throw them away. Leave them here, for when I come back." That hit them all hard. I could see it. My dad pulled me into another hug, fierce, quiet, trembling. "This time, nothing's going to stop me," he whispered. "Nothing." He wanted to come with us, but I shook my head. "They'll use that against you," I said. "Just wait. I'll see you soon. I promise." He hugged me again, longer this time, and didn't say a word. Then my aunt and I got into the car, and we drove. We didn't talk. We didn't need to. The silence wasn't heavy. It was full, of everything we had just lived, and everything we were about to fight for. But I wasn't scared of it anymore. They didn't scare me anymore. "I'll be back soon," I whispered, mostly to myself. "This isn't over." As we pulled into the street, we couldn't even get up the driveway. Police cars. News vans. Reporters. Flashing cameras. Most of the neighbors were gathered on their lawns, whispering behind coffee cups. Then I saw her. My mom. The second she spotted me, she let out a cry. "My baby," she sobbed, rushing forward. Brad stood behind her, arms crossed, looking disappointed I had returned. He scoffed and muttered something under his breath. I didn't catch the words, but one of the officers nearby did. I saw him pause and make a note on his clipboard. When I stepped out of the car, my mom lunged at me for a hug, but I stepped back. Her hands froze midair. That's when she turned her anger on my aunt. "How dare you steal him," she yelled. "You have no right to take him away from the comforts of his room." And I broke. I laughed. Loud. Hard. Real. So hard the entire crowd fell silent. Every camera turned and pointed toward me. I wiped my eyes and stepped forward. "I wasn't kidnapped," I said clearly. "I ran away." Gasps from the crowd. The reporters surged forward. "My room?" I said, looking straight at my mom. "It's a mattress on the floor. No box spring. No frame. Just a blanket and a cracked window." I turned to the reporters. I had to do all the housework. Brad made sure I knew I wasn't his son. He said it all the time. Said I wasn't his responsibility. I paused, then added, "And I know how much I cost." Because he kept a spreadsheet, on his laptop, of everything they said they spent on me. While my real dad paid child support the entire time. There were murmurs now. Pens scribbling. Cameras rolling. I wasn't a son. I was a math problem. And when I tried to defend myself, he threw a calculator at me. Missed, but hit the wall right next to my head. My mom tried to cut me off. "He's exaggerating, he's confused, he's lying," she shouted. But no one turned toward her. They were still listening to me. Then, from the crowd, someone stepped up. "Jason's dad. I know this kid," he said. "Used to coach him in soccer, he was good, too. But Brad pulled him out. Said he was tired of wasting money on another man's kid." He looked right at the reporters. "I saw him walking alone that morning. No coat. Just a backpack. I picked him up and brought him to his aunt. He wasn't kidnapped. He was trying to save himself." As I turned to walk away, a police officer gently touched my arm. "Son," he said quietly, "I'm sorry, but you're going to need to come with us." My stomach tightened. "You've made some serious allegations, they will need to be investigated," he continued, "and we'll need to take your full statement. Your aunt, and Mr. Johnson too, would you both be willing to come down to the station?" Mr. Johnson, my old coach, nodded immediately. "Of course. That's why I came." My aunt and Mr. Johnson drove to the station. I rode with the police. While we gave our statements inside, one by one, the scene outside was still unraveling. The reporters turned their cameras back on my mom, who was now trying to do damage control. "The spreadsheet was just for tracking our family finances," she said, her voice trembling in a carefully staged way. "If he ran away, it's because his father filled his head with lies," my mother insisted to the reporters. "He's manipulating him, trying to turn my son against me. I would never abuse my boy, or let anyone else abuse him. None of this is true." But while she was talking, digging herself in deeper, Brad had disappeared back inside the house. And what he didn't know was that one of the cameramen from the news had quietly crept into the backyard. They were filming through my bedroom window. And what they saw told the whole truth. The camera zoomed in on the broken dresser, drawers cracked and splintered. The mattress on the floor, no sheets, no pillow, just a stained blanket and beer cans nearby. And then Brad appeared. In the hallway. Yelling. "Stupid kid's not worth the money," he snapped, pacing back and forth, not knowing anyone was watching. Then, worse, he stomped into my room, sloshing beer out of a half-empty can. And right there, on camera, he poured it out on my mattress. After capturing the footage, the cameraman didn't waste time. He circled back around the house, quietly slipping into the crowd gathering at the front. The reporters were starting to grow restless, their energy dimming as my mom kept pushing her version of events. "She's just repeating herself," one of them muttered. Same lines, over and over. But then, the cameraman leaned in and whispered something to a couple of them. They turned. They watched and then they saw it. Brad yelling. The mattress soaked in beer. "Stupid kid not worth the money." The reporters stared, horrified. Mouths open. Eyes wide. One of them looked over at my mom mid-sentence, nodded politely, and cut her off. "Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate your time. We've got what we need." She blinked. That's it? But they were already packing up their gear. And the cameraman, the one who caught everything? He didn't stop there. He went straight to the police. By the time we were wrapping up our statements, the footage had already been handed over. The officer who'd spoken to me earlier stepped out of the interview room, a hard look on his face. He had a tablet in his hand, watching the video. He didn't say anything at first. Just nodded grimly and walked straight into the next room, where another officer picked up the phone. By the end of the day, I was allowed to go home, with my aunt. When she and me both told the police about my bedroom at her house, the clothes she had saved for me, and everything I'd been through, the decision was quick. She was granted temporary custody until the court hearing. And a search warrant was issued, for my mother's house and Brad's laptop. Back at that house, Brad had passed out cold on the couch, still completely unaware that he'd been caught on camera. My mom had opened a bottle of wine. Half of it was already gone. She sat slumped at the kitchen table, tears streaking her face. But she wasn't crying because she missed me. She wasn't crying out of guilt. She was crying because she knew she was going to lose the child support payments. And worse, my dad was finally going to win. Things were moving now. And this time, they were moving in our direction. The next 6 months were like a dream. My dad took me shopping, and for the first time in my life, I was allowed to pick out whatever I wanted. I got new clothes, new shoes. And best of all, I got to redecorate my room at my aunt's house. It finally felt like mine. Meanwhile, the investigation into my mom and Brad kept growing. The search warrant had uncovered far more than anyone expected, especially on Brad's laptop. He'd written a list. All the ways I was destroying his life. Things like, if she didn't have that kid, we could travel the world. As if they had that kind of money. His presence makes my daughter look dumb. Instead of helping her with a tutor, he blamed me. And then there was his daughter. In her statement, she came off smug, like she expected everyone to agree with her. But it didn't land the way she thought it would. She complained about how I always tried to insert myself into family time and acted like I was one of them, while making it very clear she never saw me as part of the family. She even bragged about all the things Brad would buy her but not me. Like that proved something good. And my mom? She was living in a fantasy. She told the court I was just a confused child, manipulated by my father. She claimed the video of Brad, yelling, dumping beer on my bed, was a fake. Said it was edited or out of context. No one believed her. And then, the court date came. Before the court date, a social worker came to my aunt's house. She saw my room, listened to me talk, and actually heard me. I started therapy soon after. It helped, though deep down, I kept feeling like it could all be taken away. Like none of this was real. But little by little, the fear started to lift. Even my teacher agreed to testify. She told the court that when she'd mentioned I was struggling in class, Brad's response had been to send me away, not help me. Then the day came. My mom showed up in a dress that might have been nice if she'd ironed it. Her hair was unbrushed. There was a faint smell of red wine when she walked into the courtroom. Brad didn't even show up. Her lawyer looked nervous, like he already knew they'd lost. He'd seen the reports. But my dad, he was ready. He had the best family lawyer in town, and he wasn't just fighting for custody. He was suing my mom for all the child support he had paid that was never spent on me. And we won. My dad was awarded full custody. When the judge read the decision, my mom howled in the middle of the courtroom. "It's not fair. How can you take my baby away?" The judge had to threaten her with contempt of court just to make her sit down. She was ordered to pay my dad $80,000 in misused child support. And starting immediately, she had to pay $800 a month in child support to him. She was granted supervised visitation only. But she never showed up, not once. After 3 missed visits in a row, the court rescinded her visitation rights altogether. And just like that, I was finally free. I heard through friends that Brad left my mom. She had to sell the house to pay my dad. And then she lost her job, not because of the court case, but because her drinking had gotten worse. One day, she showed up at her office drunk, crying about how her son had been stolen. The police had to remove her. No charges were pressed. But that chapter? It's closed now. Me? I'm the happiest I've ever been. Calling Sarah by her name started to feel wrong, too distant. And stepmom just sounded cold. So now I call her my bonus mom. And soon, she's going to have a baby. I can't wait to be a big brother. There's no half in this. No fractions. He or she will be my full sibling, because love makes us whole. Have you ever found strength in the middle of chaos? Have you ever had to walk away from people who were supposed to love you, just to find the ones who truly do? Leave a comment below and share your story. Because sometimes, the family we choose saves us more than the one we're born into. And remember, you are not a burden. You are a gift. If you're still in the middle of your story, keep going. The happy chapters are real, and they're worth fighting for. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more stories of healing, hope, and starting over. See you next time.